Hi, everybody, and welcome to On Fusion, a podcast designed to give you permission to think differently and to push you to a new level of understanding and awareness. A safe space where you tap into your level of abundance in all areas of your life and business. I'm your host, Gigi, and provider of happiness. On today's program, we have as a guest of honor, Councillor Deirdre Forde, the Lord Mayor of Cork. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's a really very great pleasure to see you and to have you in person. So in today's conversation, we'll develop 4 axes. We'll do a post-analysis of Africa Day event 2023, who just ended on Saturday. Then after, we will move with the strategy that the City Council put to support the community and the voluntary sector in Ireland, because I think it's really important. And we will talk as well of Cork City and its future. And then we have a few questions from the community. So to start with, thank you for every year having the Lord Mayor of Cork doing a speech. It's really important for Africa Day to have the support of the City Council. So reflecting on Africa Day Cork 2023, could you share your thoughts and on the impact and the success of Africa Day week lunch? As you were present alongside the guests, we have the ambassador. So can you give us a bit of input?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and your audience, of course. It's a great pleasure. It's a new thing for me to be doing podcasts with people, and you're one of the first with visuals as well. Africa Day is very special to us because Africa Day is one of the projects that has been the strongest in our city since I became into the city in 2019. And there's great participation between your community and City Hall. And I cannot let the day pass without saying what colour, what noise, what movement, what joy Africa Day brings in every part of the week. I was blown away by the designs from some of the collections, and I've ordered some of them for my own grandchildren.
Yeah, even the day itself you were dressed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was so honoured that she took the time to offer and gave me a choice of materials and designed it so exquisitely. It was a real pleasure for me to showcase her. And I think also it brings home to everybody, I put it on my Instagram page, that designers are not always, of a certain age and a certain type. True. It can be anybody with talent. And of course, it was beautifully made. I was very proud to wear it. And I'll have it for a long time. And I know the officials in Cork City Council are very enthusiastic about growing the Africa Day and to see it expand, and perhaps even to, join up with other organisations, other people that come to Cork who might also be interested in making the whole event stronger and more diverse and more inclusive.
But our wish for Africa Day is to become a festival and where people know that when there is Africa Day, they come to Cork City because it's going to be properly established. So we wish to maintain and to build up those relationships with the City Council to make it happen.
Yeah, good.
In your opinion, what role do events like Africa Day Cork play in promoting diversity, fostering communion and cohesion, and celebrating multiculturalism within Cork?
It plays a very special role because it's a very proactive way of making your presence felt in a very happy way. And I think Irish people, you could see even on St. Patrick's Day Parade, many groups took part. And there was, I think it was it, I don't know how many thousand were watching it, something like 40,000. And they all loved the colour, the drum beating and the dancing, particularly that you bring to the occasion. And I think it also sends out the message that you're not just passive people living in Cork, you're active people, part of the community who wants to give back and who wants to join forces. It's not it's not silos, if you like, people working together like a community here, another community there. It's people integrating without losing their identity.
Yeah, it's really right what you say, because behind that, there is talented people, there is people with profession, and the fact that we really build that relationship with Irish people, it's even strengthened because the history of Ireland is really strong too, so you can only have beauty behind those collaboration.
But I mean, you bring such grace and colour to it. But I mean, you know, we're learning a lot from you and, of course, all the people that participated in our Africa Day, because you're teaching us the joy of your community, and you're also showing a willingness to promote Cork, which is very important to us.
Cork is welcome with us, so we're going to promote for sure.
Yeah.
Regarding the seminar Strengths in the Diaspora, that aim to explore the contribution and experience of African diaspora communities, what were some key takeaway from this event, and how the council planned to build up discussion that took place?
Obviously, there's many different ways. One of them was the discussion on young entrepreneurs with the Leo and Dr. Niall O'Keefe, who is a superb ambassador for enterprise in Cork City Council. And it was great to showcase young people of African descent who are entrepreneurs themselves. And why not? You know, it's not, no one is tied to any one profession. But that showcased also the difficulties that they may encounter in starting up in an entirely new society and a community and a new country. And yet they were so strong. And they highlighted some of the blockages, I suppose, that might be there for maybe potential entrepreneurs that we know are out there. And I think that was a very good way, very positive way to look at the blockages, to look at the just like any other business.
True.
What can the Leo do? What can Dr. Niall and his team do? And what should we be asking the government to help us do for entrepreneurs of all types, creeds, you know, races, it doesn't matter, because entrepreneurial is the backbone, spirit is the backbone of the country, not to mind Cork City. So we want to nurture those young entrepreneurs and to say, what is it you want? So that was one way. The other way is to participate in the local economic community development committee, if you like. And at the moment we're building a new one for the next couple of years, and we're encouraging everyone to write in or to go online and to say to us what is it they'd like to see as part of their community. What would it make it easier for them to live economically? What would it make it easier for them to live in their communities? What would they like to see in the public realm? What would they like to how would they like to deal with climate action? All these are important questions, and the LCDC is the vehicle for that. That will be the Bible on how we develop Cork City's communities.
Okay, so guys, did you hear the Lord Mayor? So don't forget to use your voice and to go to the LCDC. Yeah. So thank you for this post analysis of Africa Day event. Now we're going to move to the strategy that the City Council put to support the community and the voluntary sector in Ireland. So Lord Mayor, can you share with us the detail of the strategy that the Cork City Council has implemented to support the community and voluntary sector in Ireland?
Okay. Well, we have a very strong record in terms of how we support all those community groups, because we say that it's the people that make Cork. And during the COVID, you will probably realise we had a COVID response committee, which encompassed everybody and every community in Cork. And I suppose prior to COVID, it was kind of a, an upright model, if you like. Now it's linear. And it means it's reaching out into every community, and we will not do away with that, because then we're prepared for anything that may happen in the future. So that's one way. We have all the contacts, we have the database. At the drop of a hat, we can get in contact with many thousand people in any community to resolve a problem. That's one
great.
way. The second way is that we work very closely with Nano Nagel and NASC, and with the Gardaí, and indeed with community groups such as your community, maybe the Romanian community, the Sudanese community, the Ukrainian community. We have our contacts built up for all those. So that's the first step. The second step is that we would ask each one of those to let us know what do they want from us.
Yeah, it's important.
And also we try and have events that will bring people together, because there are the people who are already in Ireland for many years from your community. There are the people indigenous to Ireland, if you like, born and bred in Ireland. And then there are the people that are just arriving. So we have to pull all those strands together. And it takes time. I can't imagine how difficult it is to land on the shore of a country you know very little about, know nobody, and possibly don't have the language. And what do you do? And we want to be the city that says, if you come, to work and to share our community, we want to support you. So again, going back to the LCDC, which will be the Bible for the way forward for the next couple of years, once you have made your submission, and once your audience has made their submission, hopefully, that we will know then, we'll collate all that information, and then we will set out the parameters, and we'll say the important points, and we'll act on that. So it's really, the future of Cork is written by the people living in Cork. And the communities living in Cork. And that's why now is the time to make your voice heard.
Yeah, guys, action.
Action.
Thank you for this complete answer. Really appreciate. Moving on, how the City Council strategy aim to address the immediate needs of the community? What measures have been put in place for the long-term sustainability?
That's a big question, and it's a big job of work. I think when we pull our Department of Social Inclusion, our community and well-being and placemaking, in Ireland we call it placemaking. And I think that's a fantastic name, because it's the place where you are. And everybody who is in that place should have a right to say the way they want it and what supports they want. Already we give ward funds. We support many LGBT. We support many other community groups. And there's enterprise grants for people starting up who might want to do social media and get online, because as we all know, people's way of living is changing dramatically. And also there is community grants, amenity grants. So for instance, if some in your community wanted to build a garden, some of the groups with the Ursulines in Blackrock, they grow many vegetables and gardens and herbs that they're familiar with. So that's one element, that we give money for people to decide themselves what way they want to use it. But of course, they must make a good case, because we only have so much of a pot, and it's only the best suggestions that come forward will get the support.
Yeah, that makes sense. You need to be motivated and having the driving force. Thank you for this answer. How can individual and organization within the community and voluntary sector in Cork and beyond actively participate and contribute to the City Council strategy?
I think largely many groups are already doing it. You're certainly doing it. I mean, I think the strongest groups would be the Mexican, the Ukrainian, and of course the African are groups. Now there's many others as well, and we want to see more. Do you know that every ambassador comes in to see the Lord Mayor? And each ambassador tells me that they want to see their community, the Romanian community, for instance, all get integrated more into Cork City and maybe all have their own particular celebration.
Yeah.
Now, that may be feasible if there's many of them.
Yeah.
But if it's only a few, we'd like to see groups getting together and sharing the space. So because there's strength in numbers. And the voluntary sector, the YMCA is very good. And we work very closely with those groups because we can't do it on our own. We can only help to educate, help to gather, help to inform. The people must do it for themselves.
Yeah.
And those projects or those communities that come forward of themselves are stronger. And then we know that they're going to be more sustainable, and therefore it's worth putting our money into these groups.
Okay, thank you.
And these ideas.
Yeah, that makes sense. As you said, the number took for itself. So if people start to already take that small initiative by gathering, it's already a step for the city council to see them, and then after to put a bigger strategy in place.
Yes.
That's great.
And do you know, this weekend, for instance, as well, we had the anti-racism
summit for the first
event
time
in City Hall. What an event. It was the best I've seen for a long time, all by the youth, themselves. And once it's youth-led, just like this morning I was in Páirc Uí for Screena's Skull, and it's where the young people play from all the individual schools. And I'm sure many of your compatriots are going to those schools. They come up through the ranks and they make friends for life.
Yeah.
And they take part in the city. And then that progresses, whether they open a business or go to college or whatever it is. So that's a very solid foundation once it's from the young people at the very start.
Yeah, you're right. And I like you mentioned that because you can see a change as well in the young generation. They are more confident.
Exactly.
They take the lead. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see it. I saw the difference in last year's fashion show and this year's fashion show. Last year they were kind of a bit shy. This year they came out and they were
dancing.
Brilliant.
That's great. Thank you for that. Regarding the promoting island interest and value in the world, Cork City for 2024. There are a lot of plans. We can see the city with a lot of building growing, people coming. So can you elaborate what are the measures you intend to promote diversity and inclusion? If you could provide a specific example and how these efforts have made a positive impact.
Well, first of all, there's two ways of looking at it. There's the outward work, where we want to go out and attract more people to come to the city. And there's the inward work, which is we work within the city to attract business. A strong economic base in Cork City will provide jobs. The more jobs there are, the more people can earn. They pay their taxes. There's more money coming back into the community. It's kind of a circular thing.
Yeah.
And for instance, with the external, as I said, all the ambassadors come into us, all the honorary consuls come into us, and we had them in recently, and they told us what they are doing for their communities in the city. As well as that, Cork City has a strong record of twinning. And for instance, we're twinned with Cologne, San Francisco, and many other cities, and we exchange students. So we get to know one another. They see what the culture is like. They see what the education is like. And they build relationships. I think Cork City strength is building relationships. Only 3 weeks ago, I was invited by the government in Korea to visit Korea for the simple reason their history is very like that of Ireland, where they struggled for their independence and they want to join up with other cities around the world. So it's a global village, it's a global village. And they had the mayor from Argentina, from Germany, from Ireland, and many other people at their conference. And they are now coming back to Cork.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they want to visit Cork. And that means, first of all, we'll get to know from the cultural aspect, and then follows the economic exchange of imports, exports. How can we strengthen that? True. That's what I told the Kenyan ambassador, and that's what we've spoken. Your ambassador to Ireland and myself, we all want the same thing: to do more for each other.
Yes,
and not to take over. To accept the wonderful richness of your culture, but to blend it together with our family so that we can strengthen the economic ties and the volunteerism, if you like, and also the entrepreneurial spirit and the sporting spirit.
Yeah, all of them.
And exactly. Yeah. Sport is a great way to encourage it. Only yesterday I was in the Church of Ireland in Douglas, and we were installing a new reverend, a new rector, and there was a girl there from Africa as well. So all that good. We actually will be all Irish and all African by the time we're finished, and all Sudanese and Romanian. We'll be all one. We're all Cork first.
Yeah. And until you go to Cork, you don't realize it. But once you are in Cork, you feel it deeply in your bones.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Is.
I think it's the people, and we want the city to be the first city that's racism free. We do not want people coming to Cork that don't have our values and don't have our ethos, a welcoming city that's warm for people that want to come and build their lives and contribute to society.
So let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Exactly. High five.
I have another question, because we know that Cork City, in terms of size, it's expanding a lot. The population have increased of 200,000 persons. So Cork is defined now as a medium size European port city. In terms of the scale of function, is there any quite representative action to increase the number of Cork flights to other countries in the European region?
Sorry, did you mean flights?
Yeah, flight. Because the airport compared to
Cork, yes. Well,
Dublin.
It's the greatest little airport in the world, and they have built new routes this year. And they have a great marketing team up there. And you know that they have bands and exhibits. So when somebody comes first to Cork and they're flying in, they get a very positive look of our city.
Yeah.
But to go back to your earlier question, yes, I used to be in the county council, and because the city expanded, Douglas, where I live, we're now in the city. And the city is due to grow. It's earmarked to be the second city in the country, second only to Dublin. And we all know Dublin is teeming, it's very full. So Cork has that little bit leeway to grow its population. And we hope to grow the population over the next 10, 15 years by 20,000. And 20 to 30,000 jobs. Now that's opportunity for people coming in, an opportunity for people already here. We have a very high standard of education. True. Many multinationals want to come into our country, and we have a very strong IDA presence. Only last week we opened a factory in Blarney. And doTERRA is the name of it, and they made their European quarters in Cork. So that's the sign that there is scope for Cork to develop. We'll have the Docklands, expanding, so there will be room for a lot more. So I think it isn't any one thing will make Cork strong. I think it's a combination of strong economic outlook, an entrepreneurial spirit, an innovative spirit. We have UCC and we have MTU. They are going to build their student base. UCC is building a new business school in the city centre.
Oh, well done.
That will attract a lot of students, and therefore those other countries will begin to say, well, a lot of our people are going there, we need to come. And then the airport, of course, will need to expand.
Yeah.
And already I think they're probably meeting their targets. So there's many ways we're going to make our city solid for the future. I'm only there temporarily. There'll be other Lords Mayor after me. Our work is to do our best for the time we're there to help the city expand.
Yeah, and you are doing great.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
That's great. Looking ahead, what the Council future plan to further strengthen its support for the community and voluntary sector and entrepreneurial as well? Are there any new initiative or policy on the horizon?
Well, I mean, the government are all the time coming up with new initiatives that might strengthen people. Obviously, we get a lot of support from the government. We have worked the plan, the LCDC plan, for the last 5 years. We have a new one now. We got many, many submissions, but we need many more. And they have delayed the closing date because there's such a volume, which means people are taking an interest and telling us what way they want their city. It isn't the council are going to dictate. It's built from the ground up. And that will make it diverse, it'll make it inclusive, and it'll make it broad ranging. And then what happens is that we decide a budget. Every year we get a budget and we have to pay our bills and we have to do the essential things in the city, like keeping the streets clean. But of course, there's much more we can do. And because the LCDC will be the new Bible, we will work that plan. So I think the proper way to do it is make the plan, make sure everybody is consulted, and then work the plan. If it's not in the plan, it'll be far down the list. So it's very important that you make a strong representation, and the people who are listening today, please make a submission to the LCDC. You can do it online or you can write in.
Okay. You just mentioned that the deadline was extended.
Yes, the deadline is extended. Now, I don't know how long, actually. I forgot to get that date, but I was only told that this afternoon because there were over 500 submissions. I suspect it's probably for another fortnight. I can let you know that afterwards, and you can let your listeners know.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it's up on the website as well.
Okay, perfect. We gather some questions from the community, and here are a couple of them. So in Cork County, single parents family, regardless of race, are facing significant economic pressure, like most all of us. How do you believe their representation and support within the community can be enhanced to a greater extent?
I think childcare is a big feature. And I do know that Cork City Council recently brought in almost 50 single parents to discuss with them what their needs were and what their desires are, because obviously everybody has needs and then they have desires of what they'd like things to be, how they'd like things to be. And I thought that was a very good way of getting the voice from the actual people right in the situation. People are single parents for different reasons. There are a lot of supports out there now for people, with divorces and marriage breaks up and partnerships breaking up. And it's not always women either. There are men, obviously, as well. It's all about the children. We have to ensure that the children, though there's probably emotional turmoil and, of course, there's financial turmoil, we have to make sure that the children are not impacted too much because the trauma would not be too good for them. And I think that the government is pretty good in supporting single parents. There's the FIS, the Family Income Supplement, and the Social Welfare's Office do an awful lot. Obviously, we'll try and do more, but it's not a bottomless pit either. There's many constraints on spending in government. There's a lot of supports from the HSE. We can do more. We've come a long way, from the bad old days when there was no supports. And indeed, in some countries, there's no supports at all. So I think Ireland has a good record, not a perfect record, but we're working on it. And the stronger we become as a country, the more we can do. But also, I think education is key.
Yes.
You know, for young girls and young women, I think the sooner they can get back into education, they can only do that if the family, if the support's there to mind the children, or if the children are going to education. We want those women, if they want to go back to education, and the men indeed, to be in a position to even do it part-time, because, you know, it's lifelong learning, it's continual, and the children will grow and go through education system and be gone. And that person, those ladies, those young girls and men might want to contribute by working.
Yeah, they are future leader of the society. So
Absolutely.
yeah. And the last question is the City Council taking necessary measure to bridge the information gap and ensure access to vital information regarding the right of community groups, facilitating increasing participation.
I think, yes, we have a good record there because, as I say, from the COVID response group, we can reach any group in 5 minutes. As well as that, you know, we have the community, the Ballyfihan community, the Ballinlough community, the Ballincollig. There's community groups everywhere. Cork City Council have built up a huge database. Councillors are constantly coming in with contacts. But don't forget, councillors are also there to deal with people if they have an issue. And we get a very diverse amount of queries. It's not entirely up to City Council. It's the local councillors who are elected by the people that should be the conduit as well.
Yeah, true.
I think that also perhaps looking at the Cork City website, there's a lot of information there. In fact, sometimes I think there's too much information and that it should be simplified.
Yeah.
You know, that you know exactly where you're going rather than rooting around, digitally speaking, trying to find exactly what you want. Maybe we can do better, and we'd be glad to hear of suggestions if there's a better way of getting the message out.
Okay, guys, once again, leave a comment. Don't hesitate to suggest, because you are here for that and we want to work together. So thank you once again, the Lord Mayor of Cork, Deirdre Forde, for gracing us with your presence and sharing your insight. And thank you for the listener for joining us in this incredible journey. And remember that diversity is not just something to be celebrated, but also a strength that can lead us to a brighter future. But as well, don't forget to keep embracing different culture, perspective, and ideas. But as well, together, let's create a world where we can everyone thrive. Thank you for listening on Fusion Podcast. Bye.
Bye.